Welcome to Bledsoe Said So. We have a very, very special, mythical, legendary guest tonight. It's something that I can't believe that we are finally in the midst of and experiencing tonight. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about something coming up in May that you guys really need to consider. We're going to be, my dad, my sister, and my wife and I will be at the Contact Modalities Expo in Delavan, Wisconsin from May 2nd to May 4th. It's going to be an extraordinary consciousness expo. There's going to be 3 rooms simultaneously hosting different panels and events. There's going to be guest speakers, all kinds of different things like crystal bowl healing and breath work and meditation and all of these kinds of extraordinary consciousness related subjects all happening in the same space, so to speak. My dad's going to be a keynote speaker. There's going to be a live panel. There's going to be a cocktail party on Saturday with a live DJ, and everybody's just going to be having fun, hanging out. And I will say on Friday, there's going to be a sky watch, so definitely don't want to miss that. Just check it out at contactmodalitiesxpo.com. You can see your ticket information and booking and see all of the events that we have there. I think there's going to be like 30 to 40 different guests at this event. So check it out. You definitely don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. I hope to see you guys there. So on to tonight's episode. We finally have caught the mythical white whale, is what I keep calling it, because this
he's been harpooned.
He's been harpooned. We have one of my favorite people, Alex's dad. I wanted you to introduce him, but you wanted me to introduce him, so I'm just going to introduce him as one of my favorite people because he's your dad.
He's also one of my favorite people.
Yeah, but also one of mine because we get along, we hit it off. And we're both G's on the same wavelength. So, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm G'd up, bro.
This is not much. We don't carry much in person, but I do have a little something for you. Just a little something. I promise you, it's not much. I wish it could be more, but it is a little gift for being on the show.
Oh, sweet.
Most of our stuff is online, so maybe we'll have to send you something extra, but maybe on some cold nights you can keep your head warm. And also
you got to save some stuff I can get him for Christmas.
Well, this is more. Yep. My son went all out on the sweatshirt. I could have used some slippers, but that's okay. My feet will get warm. I got a toboggan at summertime, and I'm ready to go. I feel for next winter. But thank you, Ryan, and you guys are too nice.
You're the best. Dave Wishon.
Woo! Yeah. We've switched the situation here. We got Nick on the equipment.
And
I'm feeling very strange.
So actually, we have 2 guests in the studio.
I feel very weird on this side of the room.
Well, we had to let you
I know. I'm happy about it.
be able to talk to your dad.
I'm happy about it.
I thought it'd be cool.
This is
Yeah,
Alex.
we haven't spoken in years. I thought it was an intervention when I first showed up. Glad to know it's not that or child support.
Yeah. So let's start with the show. We've been doing this three going on 4 years now. What is it like? This is your first time in here. It's your first time in the studio. We talk a lot about it. What are your thoughts on the show, on me doing the show? Do you have any thoughts there or anything?
We just dove off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought it was pretty cool. And, back in my day, we just got together and talked. We didn't have the podcast and hell, we didn't have a radio. We sold it, I had to sell it, pay rent. But, no, it's nice, and I'm glad you found a good group of people. And I think, in the world we're living in, that certain people have a touch, and you meet certain people, and they go out of your lives, and then you meet people that seem to stick around, and you seem to all have the same, and I call it an orb. You all have the same light, and that's what I think the group of people that y'all attract to is people that are believers, one, in the good Lord, and are always an attraction for people that need help. We all need help, and you got to find the people and surround yourself with the people that have different strengths that make you stronger. And if you're going down, look who you're around.
Yeah.
If you're going up, stand up. And that's one thing I like about it, and y'all's camaraderie and your closeness and your friendship and your beliefs. And that's what I feel the world needs more of. And I think we all have a light. It's just how it shines and how it attracts.
That's great.
Yeah.
beautiful.
You know,
Beautifully said.
well, you know, I've been blessed. I've never wanted a lot, but I've always got what I needed. And I think people tend to want more of what they want than what they need. Just pay attention to what you need. You'll get what you want. I've always lived like that. I've had months in my business that I didn't know where it was coming from, and I just fed 500 people free because I've done it. Even though bad times are here, I continue to do it. And people said, why? I said, because it seemed like a few weeks later, my phone will ring, and I just got 1,000 people to feed.
Yeah.
You know, you bless yourself by blessing others.
Yeah.
And that's what life is about, in my opinion. That's how I always lived. And I've lived a crazy life. I mean, I lived it. You know, I'm 68 almost in a 110-year-old body.
I want to touch on that real quick. So I want to talk about Parchies, but that reminds me, you know, it's not a joke. I remember we'd never leave for a hurricane. We know a hurricane's coming. We know we're going to lose power at the restaurant. There's no generators at the restaurant. So before every storm, we would be giving everything away. You would be giving everything away. You know, me and Nick would help or whatever needed to be done. But you'd give it all away. The storm would come. You'd lose power. Everything that would have gone bad is now somewhere feeding people who have been misplaced from the storm. And you seem to just turn around and bounce back. I mean, and get more from that.
Well, you know, life's too short to worry about what's happening. You just got to take care of those that need it. And I had a great relationship with First Baptist, and every Tuesday night they feed the homeless, no matter what their situation is also. And, you know, I've had times where I empty my freezer and the power would come on as I'm doing it, and my meat was still semi-frozen, but I'd already promised it and they had counted on it. And I've never filed an insurance claim because to do business with those people, you know, you got to fill out 36 pages and submit and hope. So I just, you know, I never gave to get a reward back, either financially or I always got mine back spiritually. If I know I'm helping the right things and the right people, and I had great causes that I did for years, 20, 30 years. And I would do them today if I was still in business.
Yeah.
You know.
That's amazing. I resonate with what you said, particularly the other night. Alex and I don't know if you know this or how much y'all talk about this, but we actually have 3 shows now. And so on Tuesdays, Nick comes over, we record our 3rd show, and then he leaves, and then we go and record our 2nd show. I know the timing is weird there, and Alex and I do one show without Nick, not for any reason other than...
he's easy to replace.
It's just the way it works, you know?
I mean, if Nick don't show up after the night, I might be in that chair and put my son back behind the camera.
So there's a show that we do that's like and I know why we did it with that, because you didn't live
Nick.
here.
This is the parting gift.
Thank you. I'm honored. And I'd be honored to be replaced by you, sir.
Oh, no, I don't work anymore.
It'd be a heck of a show.
I'm retired.
We're going to start our own thing. Don't worry.
Yeah,
This is going to take off.
Absolutely. But I say that to say that, like, there was a conversation we had the other night that both of you guys weren't present for. And one thing that Alex and I were talking about was about the company you keep. You had just said that, I can't remember the exact words that you used, but you said...
when you're going down, look around.
Yeah.
When you're coming up, stand up.
And we were just talking about that the other night. And I think that's like one of the most powerful things that you can live by, is like surrounding yourself with people who uplift you spiritually.
You uplift each other.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow. I mean, too many people, especially if you start becoming successful or something, there's people there that want to bring you down instead of lift you up and celebrate. And especially if you got the right heart and mind, the higher you get up, the higher you can give.
Yeah.
You know, I always measured my success each year as how much I gave away, not how much I made. I didn't care of what I made. It took care of itself. And there was a lot of rough times, but, you know, that's I feel is the problem with our world. Everybody's just stepping on top of each other to get where they want to go. and don't realize they're really going to hell.
I mean, shockingly put, I do agree.
In everything. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
You're on your way to hell, and you're quick to get there.
Yeah.
But just treat everybody with kindness. And if you see somebody in need, your heart will tell you if it's true. Because everybody gets asked for everything nowadays. You can't drive past a corner without a sign. And I've never been blessed by so much by God by these cardboard signs. And they're making more money than are people that are working 40 hours a week in a few hours. So, but there's some that need it, but your heart will guide you. If your heart guides you, give it. And if it's not true, but your heart's satisfied. You know, I walked out of a convenient mart about 3 weeks ago. It was a cold evening, rainy, and a homeless guy was sitting by the trash cans smoking some, end of cigarette butts out of the cigarette disposal. And I walk out, didn't ask for any money. He said, man, I'll pay you to take me to a hotel near the bus station. This guy's going to pay me to take him to a hotel because he's leaving town. Homeless people, I don't think like Wilmington because they all seem, this is the third time at the same convenient mart I've taken people. And I said, man, I'll give you a ride. What the heck? I got nothing going on. And the guy that spends the whole time thanking me because he can't believe, and he wants to pay me. Keep your money, get on the bus to get back to Asheville. They all seem to come from Wilmington and spend time. I don't think we treat them as well as other places because they all seem to get on the bus and go to Asheville. I took this one guy to the bus station. He slept in the, it was like midnight when I took him there. And, but it's amazing, all the people that's walked through there and no one probably said yes. Or they might not even ask people. But I feel my orb is I attract people and my heart and I've had a bunch ask me and I'd said no. But I think you shine a light. If you truly believe in what you do and in yourself, I think you shine a light. And people see that light. A lady in the convenient mart, when Alex was a baby, we pull up. And I'm pumping my gas, and this little old lady comes up to me, and I'm, at the time, 6'7", still close to that, shrunk a little bit, but I was 400 pounds. And, there's a lot of people, and it wasn't I was the only one out in the parking lot, Mm-hmm. There was cars filling up and people, small people, regular people. But the lady came straight to me. She'd been driving around for 8 hours trying to find her house. That happened twice. And at the same gas station within months of each other. All my stuff comes in 2s or 3s, and it's always been 30 to 60 days apart.
What do you mean she's trying to find her house?
She had Alzheimer's and didn't know where she was.
Okay.
She's been driving around Wilmington for 8 hours, and she lived in Forest Hills. And she was on College Road and where the Publix is now, at that gas station right beside it.
Okay, quite a ways away then.
Oh, yeah. Been driving around the whole time trying to find a house. She left at noon.
Wow.
This was 8 at night.
Jeez. I've heard quite a few stories from both of you about things like this that have happened to you, like probably as long as you can remember, I'd imagine.
It's been with me all my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved out of the house at 17. I was still in high school. I lived with a bunch of great people, but, to be honest with you, they didn't have the same morals that I grew up with. I didn't have a lot, but I had discipline and taught how to treat people and respect people. And stealing is not good. And my friends had different philosophies on a lot of that stuff, but they were fun and they were great hearts, but they were just thieves, And I got dragged in. Only 1 out of 8 ever got arrested. Go to the police station. They interrogate me, and I told them when they were going to go do something, I'd get out of the car and hitchhike home. I didn't stick around. Mm-hmm. I knew they were coming back home. I'd come back. Back in those days, there were little gas stations that had that little silk dogs playing cards and all. I'd have 150 of them in my house. They'd break in a little storage area and steal them and bring them home and sell them. And I had a job, I was working. And that just amazed me. But the fun ended when the cops came to the house during happy days at 8 o'clock on a Monday back in those days, and knocked on the door and walked in and took us all downtown. And I'm defending myself, and we're all in different rooms. And after about an hour and a half, the guy comes in and said, "Well, we're convinced you didn't have anything. We're convinced you didn't have anything to do with the break-ins, but we're not convinced that you're guilty, not guilty. So we're going to let you go, but you got to call your daddy."
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what I said. Well, how much time am I looking at if I don't call my daddy? And they knew my family. We've been in the parks, recreation, concessions business. We knew my family was very well known. He said, "David, call your daddy." That was the hardest conversation I've ever made.
Yeah.
It still has. Calling him to come get me. And, he was cool as hell, a lot cooler than I thought he would be. But the thing I remember most is when the last thing the police officer, I wish I remember his name, but I don't. And he said, "David, I know you love your friends, and they love you, obviously, because no one said you had anything to do with this." And I said, "Because I didn't." And he said, "I don't care how cool you think they are, but if you hang around dogs, you're going to catch fleas." And from that day forward, I moved in a different direction, started following people that had something going for them. They had family and business. They were heading that way. So I jumped on the train, got in the basketball league, started, changing my priorities of how I was having fun to, getting direction.
Yeah.
I started my restaurant with $5 on a bicycle and the help of my parents.
How old were you?
I was 27, heading nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you said you kind of started to change and turn things around? When the cops came and you had to talk to your daddy?
I was 19.
19.
Wow.
19.
Wow.
Been out of the house for 2 years. Went home, regrouped for 60 days, and never went back after that.
And the
Back
job,
home.
the job before you opened Parchies, didn't he drag you outside, make you look at the sign?
Well, every restaurant I worked at would eventually pull me out front, basically, and say, "What does that sign say?" And I'd say, and they'd say, "Well, when it's got your name on it, we'll do it like that."
Oh.
Okay. And that wasn't, long after that, I was gone to another restaurant to run their show, because I always could figure out the easiest and the best way and the cheapest way
Right.
to give a quality product at a fair price. When I closed, I was $2-3 cheaper on the same thing anybody in Wilmington, and used top quality. I just had a small chest freezer. I didn't use much frozen food. We used fresh butts, fresh chicken, cut our own steak. Did it all old school, but I bought cheap.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't pay a lot for the building because nobody could make it there. They said no one can make it there. And that's all I needed to hear, especially the ones I worked for said, that idiot's not going to make it. He'll never make it. And I think that's what drove me to make it, because I was very ODD. I'd, get into something, get out, get into something. And I go full speed when I'm in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I eventually burn out and move on. But that was all I needed to hear in whispers of, he ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
Because I made $135 for 3 years. Wow. And I was probably giving away more than that.
Yeah.
Working for different groups like child advocacy and clubs for kids. But then after a while, you realize with people that raise money, they raise money, but they spend so much raising it.
Yeah.
But then I understand if the publicity is what gets them more money. You want your name to be. I'd never put my advertisement on, because they all say, we're going to put you on our T-shirts. I said, put it on somebody that'll pay you. I said, people will find me. I never advertised, never ran a website. And I lasted
Didn't take credit card for
22 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time of selling, when, in 2020?
21.
2021. It was like a legendary staple in the community.
You don't really realize how much you are appreciated until the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even tell the media because we couldn't handle the business we already had, just because of the COVID and the relief checks and the money, my pricing. because people started going back to the best value for their money. You know, they quit doing the $40 lunches. They were looking because the money just stopped flowing there for a while. But our business was never busier during the COVID times. I mean, we never closed a day for COVID. It took me 24 hours to realize COVID wasn't as bad as they are saying, because once they said, you know, everything's closing except Walmart and the liquor stores, I figured life's still good. I mean, you know, it made no sense.
Yeah.
I guess they just wanted to keep people drunk to go along with it. I thought people were going to be dying. You ride down the street, you'd see people falling out the way they made it. You're shutting countries down.
So what you were saying, though, is y'all knew you were going to close for months.
No.
But or maybe a month, but we didn't tell anybody until...
Oh, for when I closed Parchi.
Right. So when Parchi's closed, we knew it was happening long before, but we couldn't... Parchi's wasn't built to handle the volume that was going to come when we announced that it was going to be no more. And I think, 2 weeks prior we announced, they ran a little... article in the newspaper,
and it was over.
And it was slammed. I mean, we'd close the doors. You and Nick and Joyce would close the doors at noon because you ran out of food.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and it's hard to prepare for, because once I realized I was going to sell, I knew it was already busy. I was going to hire someone else, but I didn't want to hire someone and then lay them off. I didn't want to do it to them. Mm-hmm. And so we kept working with the same small crew we had, and God bless them. They hung in there. We got it done. And but I never did the interview they wanted to do 2 weeks before, because I just didn't want. We couldn't take care of what we had.
Yeah.
And I never advertised, because we always stayed busy. And how am I going to try to lure you in to stand in line and wait? You know, I didn't feel that was fair, you know, to my customers or to my staff, because we always operated. We got a lot done. You know, I walk in restaurants, see all these people running around, and we probably did more a day than they did, and I only had 2-3 people.
Yeah.
But we worked. You know, it's the difference. We took care of people. People were patient. I had customers that cleaned their tables. I mean, I had customers that would put an apron on, wash their hands, and come and help us. At times when we got busy, and those guys are still some of my greatest friends, and will always be.
Wow.
You know, you just don't see that, and these are lawyers and
guys that could go anywhere for lunch.
Yeah, real estate. I mean, guys that own most everything.
Yeah.
But
that's put on an apron and get behind the counter.
Wow.
But that's who you attract, and what you look for. People find each other. You know, and it's all different spectrums, especially my friendship group, with the amount of success a lot of my friends have had, and degrees, but yet I'm just one of the guys with them as they are with me. And money doesn't impress me. Hearts impress me.
Right.
And my son and Nick,
his other son.
That's one thing they got from me, is my heart. And that's the best thing I ever could leave anyone.
Yeah.
Is a part of my heart, because I've always had that. I got my mother's heart. We had 8 children, and there'd be 2 or 3 other kids eating at the house.
Wow. So when you were growing up,
he's one of 8.
Right.
Yep.
And friends would always be coming and going. So,
well, not my friends. They were scared of my daddy. My sister friends.
Yeah, so there'd be like 10 to 12 kids eating regularly at your house.
Yeah, and all girls. Hell, I'd give up a little bit for that.
I mean, you know, my wife was my sister's friend. I mean, it you know, I get it.
So I want to, this reminds me, just to paint a little bit of a better picture of your home life growing up, I want you to tell the guys the Christmas basketball goal story.
Well, we kind of rotated around for nice gifts, and nice gifts were, you know, good gifts. You know, we didn't have what, you know, I had a friend of mine always got G.I. Joes. I was at his house at Christmas waking up, you know. That was exciting for me. You know, I got hard candy in a stocking with lint on it, you know, and my one pair of jeans for the year, my one pair of tennis shoes. And then so often you'd get a good gift. And in my rotation before I had siblings leaving, because there was a big gap from the 8th to the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were going to have 6 children. The 7th was accident, and the 8th was keep the 7th company. Because my mother didn't want anybody to grow up alone.
Yeah.
She did it. She had 7 brothers and sisters. My daddy was an only child. Imagine that. Yeah.
That's going to be like me and Jenny, but reversed. She's an only child.
And my daddy never saw a paycheck. He got,
What do you mean?
a carton of cigarettes a week and a fifth of Jack Daniels, and that was his pay for every paycheck.
Wow.
And he showed back home. Man, I'd have gone out for a pack of Luckies, and I'd have had to keep that sucker running in the opposite direction with these hoodlums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were wild. The only time you never heard a sound was dinner time. Because if you weren't eating, you were losing weight.
Yeah.
And Mama could cook on a 2 or 3 burner stove, because none of the burners always worked. But she could put a feast on. First time I spent the night away from home, I'm going for dinner too. This guy's an only child. I walk in there, I look on the stove, and there's a pot that looks like what we put butter in. I said, "Man, did you tell your mom I'm coming for dinner?" He said, "Yeah, I told her you're staying over the night and eating dinner with us." I said, "But I don't think she prepared well enough. I got to go." I went home to catch my 6 o'clock dinner at the house. I didn't stay the night.
That's funny.
But back to what you asked me.
Basketball goal.
Well, so my first best gift was I was 12 years old, and I used to fly model airplanes. And I had a Cox trainer, and it flew on strings. It had a motor, and you went out and you circled and you flew. And, man, I could make that thing do what it wasn't supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a remote control airplane forever, but just didn't have the means to be able to get it. And I woke up one morning, and it was cold at Christmas in Wilmington, and I opened up my box. It was a B-52 bomber.
Oh, cool.
Remote control airplane. Cox motor on that sucker. Came from the number one, what the name was? I can't remember the name of the store. But anyway, nice place. I mean, it was top of the line. And I got it out. "Come on, Dad, let's go down to the park and fly." And he said, "Son, it's too cold." He said, "This ain't like your little Cox trainer airplane where it's held together by rubber bands. When you crash it, you just put it back together." He said, "It's too cold. If you go one way or the other, you could crack this plane up. Plastic and cold, it's like 25 degrees. Tomorrow's going to be 40. We'll go out and fly it." "Okay, Daddy." So I put it back under the tree and go upstairs, and I knew my daddy he gets up early at Christmas with these youngins, and I knew he'd be napping here soon. And he falls asleep, and I tiptoe down there, go by the tree. I get my plane, I'm out the back door, and I'm headed to the park. I fire that thing up. Man, it sounds so sweet. I take off perfect, and I'm flying around doing loop-de-loops, figure eights, and I'm top of the world.
Yeah.
Can't wait for some of my friends to wake up and come out here and look at this thing. And start sputtering a little bit, so I got to bring it in for a landing. And I'm down at Hippie Park.
Hugh McRae.
No, I'm at Wallace Park, and it's not a level field. And I pulled that thing down to that wingtip, and that thing broke in half.
Oh.
The wing broke in half, and I started crying and I sniffling it up. I get my plane, I put it back in the box. I get it back packaged. I get home, I put it under the tree. I go to my room. I've been crying. Next morning, my daddy wakes up. First thing, he says, "All right, boy, get your plane. Let's go flying." I said, "Daddy, I'm okay." He says, "Son, you've been bugging me. Let's get the plane and go fly." "No, I'm okay, Daddy." That's the first thing he said. "What'd you do, boy?" "Daddy." Went downstairs, pulled it out, opened it up, the broke wing. He said, "Damn, son, at least you won't by yourself." I said, "What do you mean, Daddy? I was." He said, "No, you didn't. You had your dumb ass with you." I said, "Thank you, Daddy." First and only flight.
Yep. First in flight.
16 years old.
That's funny.
Christmas. Wake up. My daddy put a 6x6 post in the backyard, backboard, rim, net, a basketball. My gift. Wow. Backyard, the alley had a surface, So me and my brothers would all go start playing basketball. Then the fights start. I'd grab my ball, run in, and Daddy said, y'all got to learn how to play and get along. I said, Daddy, it ain't, how it goes. So then we started another game, and the fight was starting. And after about the fifth fight, I'm sitting there arguing at my brothers, got my ball running away, and I hear, wham! I turn around and look, my daddy pulls the chainsaw out and cuts my damn gold on Christmas Day. Foomp.
Oh,
What? He said, that ended that. And it never went back up.
oh no.
What? Christmas is not one of my favorite times of the year with gifts.
And that-
Did it make sense now?
And that was your rotation.
Yeah.
4 years between
And
rotations.
I was done. Well, my first one, I got a bike, but it was used, and I tore it up in about 3 weeks. So
Wow.
Christmas was never I loved Christmas for the meaning, but I never took the gifts. I love giving gifts anyway. My kids ask me, what do you want? I don't know. I mean, that's how you end up with a sweatshirt when you say that word.
Or
I don't
nothing.
know.
Or a grill,
Or nothing.
Or a grill cover.
Yeah, but my brother is a very wealthy feller. And one year, I think this was back in whenever the Atlantic Olympics, and he lived in Atlanta, hell of a businessman. Back then, he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Bought my mom a Olympic pin. I said, man, you really broke the bank. And I always spent every dime I had on my mom at Christmas. Because my daddy couldn't afford to buy her jewelry at the time, and I'd buy her whatever I could afford.
So Alex got you that hoodie for Christmas,
Yes.
and I'm sensing that it was not a great gift.
No, I love I'm just messing with it. He asks me all the time, what do you want? I said, whatever you want to get. So I'm at a point in my life, if I want it, I already got it.
Yeah.
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 And I'm hard to shop for. I got, I'm a tall guy.
Size 16 shoe.
Yeah. It's not like you're going to go get me a pack of slippers. You get me a box that you got your shoes in, put some laces on them and say, happy birthday, Daddy. But I just don't, I've never felt comfortable getting.
I'm the same way.
I'd rather
Believe it or not.
I'd rather be the giver.
Yeah.
I love giving. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like, do I owe you something for this? And actually, they're trying to pay me back for what I've given. But, I don't do it for that. I've never done anything to get.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'd rather. It's not that I don't want gifts or I don't like gifts. It's just it's because of similar things, having 3 siblings and being in times of poverty, and sometimes gifts are shared between kids.
Yeah, it's just disappointing, and you don't want to feel the disappointment. You'd
Yeah.
rather feel, wow, man, I almost got that.
Yeah.
I'd rather almost get it than get it, especially certain things.
Right. I completely understand. Yeah.
And that's, but Lord, people out there wanting it.
Yeah, around Christmas, Alex is always like dunking on Christmas. And he's always like, we're Thanksgiving. Which, by the way, Wishon Thanksgiving is amazing.
It's a city-recognized holiday.
Yeah.
Yep. It was 1986 we were proclamated the Wishon Day on Thanksgiving.
Proclamated.
Whatever you say.
No, that's funny.
Proclamation.
Yeah. I love it.
It's real.
Mayor Ben Halterman, one of my daddy's best friends. But we had a community Thanksgiving. We'd put the tent up and have the pig cooking and do oysters in the morning, hangtown fry, what they call it. First, we started with the pig in the ground, fish fry. It was a celebration. And we'd have 7,500 people every Thanksgiving for
What?
6 to 8 to 10 hours. We started at 8 in the morning.
7,500?
No.
75 to 150 probably. At the
That's
most.
still a lot, though.
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
ton.
well, hell, we filled up, quite a few ourselves, especially when the grandchildren all started coming along.
Yeah.
But at Thanksgiving now, there's average of 50 to 53.
Can
Yeah.
confirm I
That's-
did go this year.
Yeah.
And
Just
this
our
was
family.
one of our lightest years because
Yeah.
we had some people that weren't able to make it through illness or distance.
Yep.
But, and my oldest sister, I'm not going to say how old she is. She'll beat my ass. We call her the Sarge. God gave my mother a daughter, then 4 boys,
Oh, gosh.
and my sister raised most of the boys. I'm basically a year and 4 months separated my brother. The first five were within 7 years. So,
Oh,
7.5 years. It was
Wow.
pretty quick, and lived in a 2-bedroom house. So it was interesting, but we never went without. We didn't know we were poor unless, we always thought we were rich.
Right.
But, man, we had some good times. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. But we all learned how to treat people. My father was an unbelievable man. His ethics, his morals. If he told you he was going to do something, it was done. And that's how I was. I never had a contract in 36 years of business for catering.
Wow.
2,000 people, 1,000 people. If I told you I'm going to be there, I'll be there. I catered on my daddy's funeral. After his funeral, I had to go to work.
Wow.
People said, man, I think these people would understand. I said, no, my daddy wouldn't.
Right.
He said, there's nothing you can do for me now, son. The best thing you can do for me is live on and show them what a Wishon's all about. That's the best way I can honor my daddy is by being morally right and straight.
You guys are definitely a very unique family. First of all, there's a ton of you.
Yeah.
I guess being that, you were with 8. Not that you didn't
Literally and figuratively.
There was 8 of you, or you had 8 siblings?
I had 7 brothers.
Okay, so there's 8.
I was one of 8.
There was 8 in
total,
total,
right.
yeah. So you can...
And a couple stragglers, mom and dad.
A couple stragglers.
Oh, like my sister would take people in all the time, and
Right.
my mother would become their mother.
Also like me growing up. We always had... we've had somebody on the show that lived with us growing up, and there's been lots of others. So you guys had 8 in your family, and then all 8 of you throughout time have had your own kids. So there's what, like 25 first cousins?
Yep.
So yeah,
25 of my first cousins, yeah.
Yeah, not to mention all their kids.
Yeah.
If they have
Right.
kids.
Now they have kids.
Yeah.
Most of my cousins have kids because of the age difference in my uncles.
Plus, your parents probably had siblings, so your aunts and uncles that also have all their own kids. So, your family's massive.
Used to be real close with my mother's family until the 8th was born, and they disowned her, basically. They said her mother, when I was born, kind of left contact with the family because my grandmother would tell my mama that she's running her life. She'll never be able to get anything done because she's got all these children. You're straddled at home. My mother never drove a day in her life.
What?
My mother never drove. Imagine can't get away from it. Now, when the 8th was born, there's such a big gap. My sister was already getting married and was having a baby the same age, basically, as my youngest sister. Because the 7th and 8th, there was a big gap between the 6th and 7th because they only wanted 6 children. And obviously, Daddy didn't know what causes it. And they had another one, and the 8th one was born to keep the 7th company.
Wow. Where are you in the lineup?
I got the crap. I was number 5, man.
Oh, wow. So
I
you're
got
like
it from both ends.
towards the bottom, but also towards the middle.
Back when I could be in control, I was basically ratted out on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you hit hitting your younger sister, come on, man. He just messed with me. So that's one of the reasons. My daddy said, if you don't want to live under my rules, go make your own. That's when I packed up my EMP bag and moved out at 17.
Wow. Back then when it was just like a lot more normal.
Not really. It was not when you're in high school. Most people waited at least till they got kicked out when they quit school.
Yeah.
Or I still
Well,
went.
that wasn't
I had
far
a
behind,
job,
right?
went to school. But I had a blast, though. You grow up, but sometimes you don't mature until later on.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to have children. I wasn't going to get married after I was 38 when I got married. I was 42 when I had Alex.
Okay.
Life has a plan for everyone.
Was that like 4 years married and then having a kid?
But if I'd have
It's not
got
bad.
married and had a kid earlier, I'd have never been around if my life would have took the same path because I worked a lot. And if I wasn't working, I played golf.
Did you already have... So you already had Parchies when he was born because you started it when you were
Yes.
27. Okay. So you were born into it. Interesting.
That's all I knew.
What was that like growing up around Parchies?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like one of my goals, like with fatherhood on the horizon, one of my goals is to provide a way for my children to work, because I think that that's something that has really kind of set me apart. So I didn't think it was weird at the time or different, right? I just knew it was what it was. The interesting thing is because of the hours, I could only work in the summertime. So we'd do our summertime thing and go to work, and we'd go pick up bread for the day, and then we'd stop by Mr. Fisher's office and talk to him, and then we'd go into work, and I'd work for, a couple hours. But my life was, hey, Dad, I want this. He said, okay, how much is it? I said, I can remember my first surfboard was $200. I said, I want this surfboard. He said, all right, go to work. So, and I don't think I was getting paid. I think it was just all tip money. I was wiping down. That's all I could do. I mean,
you were living free, son.
I'm 7 years old, wiping down tables, and then people would, give me a couple bucks.
That's absolutely great.
And I worked all summer, and I spent $200 on my first surfboard.
But he was in the restaurant at 4 and 5 in the summertime with me, cleaning tables.
Yeah.
And then he went into management when his younger brother was able to reach the table. Alex would instruct him how to clean the table. And then they would, because my people tipped the kids well.
Yeah.
They knew I wasn't paying them. And they tipped them well. And then Nick was told that Alex would take care of all the tips and he would get his percentage at the end of the day. So he went into management, and Nick stayed with me a long time. And Alex, when he got driver's license, he got the hell out of there. He knew that job was not.
And he was at Ashley by the time he was, 17.
He left me to Ashley.
Right.
Yeah.
He left you and went there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never forgive him.
By the way, if it's not clear, Alex's younger brother's name is Nick. I don't know if we've ever said that on the show before.
That.
It's just kind of a thing.
Yeah,
my favorite son.
Wait, which one? I was going to ask, is it Nick?
Nick's his favorite, yeah.
No way.
Dude, Nick carried that restaurant, man.
That's true. He did. He helped a lot, didn't he?
Alex was always busy. Nick was always there.
Yeah.
What was Alex busy doing?
I guess running Ashley Furniture, Court and Olivia. He was.
I was about to say Court and Mrs. Ashley.
I remember the first time I saw this group of kids together, and they're all still great friends, which is great to see. But Alex hung around a lot of people that had a little different upbringing. Of course, hell, I'm everybody's granddad. Most people always thought I was their granddad.
Yeah.
Because the age different. By the time they got to school, I'm 50. And everybody in there, all the other parents are in their 30s.
Same with my parents. You're only a few years older than my mom.
And I said, one day you'll thank me because I was the meanest dad in his classes.
Well, my kid, my friends were scared of him.
But I was then end up all their being their favorites.
Yeah, and they're all hanging around.
Yeah.
And then,
and
I've seen this.
And my friends still have a great relationship. Like my friends from middle school and high school
I know.
Go hang out with my dad.
I know.
They don't even I'm busy and they're going to hang out with my dad. It's cool. I'm glad,
I know one of your buddies is still going over there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, Alex got a good group of friends, and they all got the same type of hearts.
I've never really thought about this, but I've never met. Does Nick have any other group of friends? Oh.
No, he kind of.
Stuck with your crowd.
Yeah, Nick was just. Growing up, Nick was my shadow, and for a long time, I didn't like that. It was like go be your own person, and then somewhere in high school, it kind of flipped, and it was like if he's with me, I know where he is. And so then we and my friends were kind of pushing me. They're like, "Hey man, you're being a jerk." And I'm like, "What?" And so they talked me into it, and they all adopted him. And now he's great friends with all my friend group. It's all very meshed together now. But yeah,
Nicky. We love Nick.
We
were calling him Parchy at the bachelor party. Did you know that? Parchy Jr.?
No.
Because he was cooking for us.
Oh, yeah.
Nick was running the show.
He's a good, yeah, he can.
He takes it serious.
He does. He does.
Very serious.
We were all calling him Parchy Jr. or just Parchy, and he's really come into his own.
Yeah, and it was my fault that ran him away. It was just he didn't have enough help, and he's like his daddy. He's a worker, not a instructor. It took me 20-some years to become a delegator.
Yeah.
And now he's really good at it.
I've got a professor delegator. But I worked myself to the bone. I mean, I was the first 20-some years I did everything. I wouldn't let anybody on the grill. I had to line out the door when I was cooking. People just wanted to come in. Food was great, but just to hear what I was going to say, because I'd get pissed off when the line got too big. I'd holler at people, close the door, pick up your food.
He hollered at his mom.
People would just come in to hear what I was going to say next.
That's amazing.
I tried to communicate with my mom. I was under the hood, and it sounded like I was yelling, but I wasn't yelling.
Where'd the name Parchies come from?
It became a nickname on my daddy's. They used to call him Archie, like Archie Bunker. And my mama Edith. This was in the family. My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law started calling him Edith and Archie. And so Archie became my daddy's name, pet name. And my oldest brother's wife was an artist, and she drew the logo with the pig's ass as the P is Parchis. So the reason she did that, her youngest son couldn't say Archie, he said Parchie.
Uh-huh.
And being a contrary like Archie Bunker was, that she drew the pig's ass as the P, and that's how Parchies became. Because when we first started, we were Impey Park concession.
Yeah.
And I worked, and I had to help my daddy on the weekends and all. We always, because I was out of the house, so I'd go I'd work all day. I'm talking 16, we'd have tournaments, and we'd sell hundreds of dozens of hot dog barbecue sandwiches at 50 cents a piece. And he'd give me $20. He thought he was overpaying me. From what he used to make in this day, doing the same thing in the 30s, in the 40s. So
I'll never forget it, man. Going into Parchies, it was just like a legendary experience because we were working together and we would ride, and it would be like our special lunch. There was a while there we were doing it once a week, and Nick never got to see it, but I'll just paint the picture. Like little things like this, like these little guys and these little guys. Imagine that, but there's like probably 100 of them, and it's just pigs.
And that was
big ones, small ones.
Yeah.
And I never bought a pig.
He never bought a pig.
They just brought them to you.
Mm-hmm.
Guests or whatever.
Customers,
yeah.
Yeah, but most customers, most of them were my
everywhere.
friends.
Yeah.
I saw 3 generations grow up in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
You'd think there's not enough time, but it is in that neighborhood. It was children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the mother hadn't hit 40 yet.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, but, we had a great time. Met a lot of great people. Met a lot of, I only probably had 5 bad instances the whole time I was there.
That's amazing.
And people were always scared of that area. They said, "Where's your restaurant?" "Oh, I don't go to that side of town." I said, "Well, I wouldn't at 12 o'clock going to buy some drugs or something." But, between 8 and 2, it's very safe. And I go down at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, because I'd cook barbecue. I had to put my pigs on the grill. I didn't even, when I first opened, I parked on the side of the city street and had a special cooker built with a handle that was better than a lock. You couldn't figure out how to open it. I'd be gone. My cooker sitting on the street, barbecue smoke coming out of it, smelling great. Uh-huh. And people walking by, they could have backed up and hooked onto my grill and drove it away. I didn't even have a lock on it.
I think some of that. So, like, obviously the joint's never been robbed or anything like that. It is in a kind of part of town that, at least for me, moving into town, it's like, whoa, this is a sketchy area. But, like, I am willing to bet my life on it that because of the reputation you made for yourself in service to the community and being so good to people, you were respectable.
It's respect.
It's respect.
It's for sure respect.
Sure,
yeah.
it is. It all is. I mean, I eventually get quite a few buildings around there, the commercial buildings, and they'd mess with other buildings, but they never messed with mine.
Yeah.
It was a word on the street that
you don't mess with
he's
Parchie.
one of us. Well, I played football with their daddies over at the 8th Street Center. One of the few only white guys, the only white guy that's ever won an MVP trophy for defensive player.
He is talent.
Every Thanksgiving there'd be
athletic.
3,000 people out there. And two teams going at it for the Turkey Bowl. We had a year-long, a football season during the fall, and it ended at Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
And I'd be partying on Castle Street after the banquet down there at the A Street Center. And Pat Murphy was the guy's last name. Great guy. Really cared about the youth. He kept a lot of people safe just through his organizations. He's in the Greater Wilmington Hall of Fame, was inducted a few years ago.
Cool.
But, our pro was always to get semi-pro football. Because we had some athletes, and especially in those days in the 80s, early 80s.
Man.
I played with 3 Wilmington 10 guys.
You're
on
making me
opposing
excited.
teams.
I want to tell a story about the neighborhood with Parchies. It was 19 or 20, and Florence ripped through.
Oh, yeah.
Hurricane Florence.
Yeah, because 18 was wasn't it 2018?
It might have been 18.
Yeah, when I first started with you.
Yeah, so 2018,
2018.
Florence rips through.
Devastating.
Devastating storm because it sat for so long and the wind was blowing the opposite direction than it normally does. And so I remember it was moving so slow and the eye came right over us. And you said, hop in the car. So me, Nick, and Dad hop in the car and we're driving down to the restaurant. And I mean, the busiest 4-lane roads in Wilmington, and it's completely empty, and we're weaving through fallen trees and power lines and stuff like that. And we get to the restaurant, and one of the original glass windows that's been there since
the 50s.
The 50s, blown out, right? Water, glass, wind, blowing everything in the restaurant. It's flooded. We're like, oh my God, right? We pulled up just in your truck. Nothing. We're not
Wind's still
prepared.
blowing up. It's
Wind's
80
still
miles
blowing.
an hour or better.
So he said, all right, let's figure this out. I'm sure it was a little more colorful than that. And so me and Nick start walking up the street, and here's Henry, one of our best customers, in there every day. He said, hey, what are y'all doing? We said, Henry, the wind is blown out. He said, I got some wood in the backyard. So we walked to Henry's backyard. Perfect sheet of plywood, perfect size. Me and Nick drag it back up the street, prop it up. Henry comes with us. We got the right amount of hammers in the back of Dad's truck and the right amount of screws, and we hammered the board up in the eye of the hurricane.
Wow. That
we didn't everything was provided to us in the moment. That's one of my favorite stories, just with, Pargie's place in the community, but also I think there's an element of just kind of giving it up and letting things figure themselves out in a
the only
spiritual kind of
hurricane
way.
that closed for a period of time for.
Yeah. Because every hurricane before that, you were on the hurricane response crew.
Right, for Riceville Beach.
To feed the fire. And
the city of Wilmington until they just didn't. I quit the city of Wilmington when they brought me in during a hurricane during the storm. And there was only 10 people that showed up that needed to eat. And I risked my life to fulfill my obligation. And it was supposed to be, and the contract was written for 200 people. And they wanted the same price for 20 or 30 people.
Right.
And I actually even opened up the restaurant, had fans blowing stuff out, and generators on my refrigerators, and I cooked for 3 days and fed 50 people. I think I made $300.
Wow. Speaking of your refrigerator, I seem to remember you guys both.
Yes.
Have always told, going back, because I've known you guys for, I guess, like 7 years now.
Something like that. So yeah, don't. I want to tee. He knew. You know what he's talking about. I don't want to spoil the story by teeing it up.
Go ahead.
So the on the side of the road with the baby choking.
Oh, that was not long after, one of my employees I found. But
we can talk about that first if you want to.
Well, I think it goes in an order.
Okay.
To go with that. I had a kid working for me, and he was supposed to going back to night school at
Cape Fear?
No, that little Mount Olive, the one that used to be up on the corner up there, up towards Market Street, up towards the college. It's actually across the street from the college. I forget the... But anyway...
Do you mean Miller Mott? Miller Mott?
That could have been it.
There is a Miller Mott out on Market, I think. Sorry.
Well, this was actually on College Road.
Oh, okay.
Behind the Greek church, there was a...
I'm not sure then.
Community. But anyway, his wife, he went to UNCW and couldn't make it there, and he was a great with people, great cook, loved what he did. His wife worked at PPD, and we fed PPD, and she was embarrassed. She didn't like him being a grill boy, basically, and so he started back school to finish his degree to go, in her opinion, to become a real man, I guess. And Christmas was about to come. This was towards the middle of the end of November and December, man. It's wacky. We're just nonstop.
Yeah.
Because we closed for 2 weeks after Christmas, which I paid my guys, bonus them out, and it was close to that. And he was graduation. His family was coming to town. They were having a big party. I was going to the party. We're all going to celebrate. He's getting his degree, and instead of getting a degree, he closed up, took the money bag, and disappeared. I'm going.
Closed the restaurant, took the money bag from the restaurant.
Yeah. And then next thing I hear, about 11 o'clock at night, his wife's calling me. Have you seen him? I said, I saw him when he left work, but that's the last time I saw him. Well, I can't find him. Well, look around. I'm sure there's nothing wrong. He's probably having a beer or something somewhere, and time got away. Next morning, nowhere to be. No one's seen him. No one's heard from him. I talked to his wife, and she's very distraught, as she should be. His mother and father are getting ready to arrive for the graduation party. And so I asked her, I said, well, look at the credit cards. She said, well, they're still in his parents' name, his credit card. I said, call them, see if they can track any gas purchases or anything like that. And so for 3 days, there was nothing. No purchases.
Wow.
So he can't be traveling. You got to put gas in his car. He had a Jeep, a older green Jeep. And he lived right down from actually in the same area where you used to live, in those apartments that they built there off 16th Street. And right down the road across from, back then it was Temple Baptist Church Activity Center. Across was a cut through where you could take a 4-wheel drive and go into those woods where you lived. And he lived in that set of apartments up towards Carolina Beach Road. And after the third day, I'm calling the phone company because he had one of my phones through the company, and I would see if there's any pings coming off any transmitters. No communication.
Wow.
And it was the last night. It was cold as heck, and I started getting a feeling, that something's wrong. Something's really wrong here. Is he trying to, commit suicide or something? That's what's going through my head. And the next morning I get up, I call Verizon. First thing I did at 5:30 in the morning, it was Alltel then. And I called him and I said, has there been any communication with this number? She looks, she said, there was. At 12:30, that's about when I was thinking about this thing, there was a ping off of that line. I said, what location, what tower picked it up? And she said, the hospital tower. He lives here, all these woods here. He's got a 4-wheel drive Jeep. I had just bought a 4-wheel drive truck a week before. Never owned one in my life. I get the truck. I go to work. I tell my key guy, which he was my key guy. So I told the guy that working for us, and I said, Floyd, I think I know where our guy is. So I drive down 16th Street, take a right to the trail, and I got just basketball goosebumps.
Yeah, goosebumps.
Because every time I went around a corner or something, I'd know what I'm going to find.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know where I'm at in the woods. It was 3 blocks long at one time, that block where the movie theater now is and all that.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What the area you're
So I get to about the middle where the movie theater's parked, in the middle of the woods there. And, you go about 15, 20 yards, you go straight and left. Now, imagine if you're going straight, you're going to run right into Independence at the end of the road there. Because that whole block runs into where Independence comes down all the way through to Carolina Beach Road, right? So, and the food line is back in that back corner on Carolina Beach Road on that whole same.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I'm at in those woods. I've never been in there. So I get to a point where I got to go left or straight, and something says take a left. So I take a left. Backed up in the woods is his Jeep.
Mm.
This is the fourth day.
Wow.
He's been gone.
Yeah.
And 911, I found him. Well, I found the truck. Well, he's in it. I'm a quarter mile, maybe half mile away from that truck. I don't want to get near that truck.
Yeah.
I don't want to find my little buddy
Dead.
after 4 days. But I knew he was alive at midnight. But I just didn't know what to expect. I said, well, that's y'all's job. You need to come on down here. And you come. No, you've got to go see if he's in the car.
Oof.
And I'm crying.
What would anyone do?
You know, I'm just basically hysterical trying to keep it together. And I'm, okay. And I go in and I get up close enough to where I see him in the back seat, slumped over. He's here. Hurry up. Come on. We don't even know where you're at. I said, I'm in the woods here off of 16th and 17th and the name of that street.
Independence?
No, the street that runs beside the church here in front of the
lived
YMCA
off
now.
I'm not sure.
That
The,
Mason lives on.
Yeah. Anderson.
Anderson.
Oh, yeah, George Anderson.
Yeah, George Anderson.
Yeah.
I said,
This is literally like where they built the apartments that you just
That I
moved out
used to
of.
live,
This
yeah.
is all
Right.
woods. This is where this
Yeah.
is taking place.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
this is- and
Which is crazy because that's a big
like-
plot of woods.
I mean, it very well could be the exact spot that your apartment was.
no, the little farther back to the
Close.
left where the
Yeah.
retention pond is now.
Yeah.
Basically, because after it's all over. So anyway, I go up there and I said, yeah, he's in the car. Then she says, is he alive? I said, I don't know. You need to come. And I could start hearing the ambulances coming and the police and all this because he's been under, a missing person.
Right.
And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in the middle. I said, you see my tire tracks come in? And they said, well, we can't get the ambulance in there because it's not four-wheel drive.
Oh, my gosh, people.
They're on foot, and they're bringing the gurney. But is he alive? I don't know. He don't look good. Check him. See if he's breathing. And are you kidding me? I'm finding one of my best friends, my manager, gone, and I got to see if he's breathing. And I don't know how to even do that. I open up the door, and there he is, and it's been bleeding. There was a pile of blood in the floorboard. He's not conscious. His keys are laying in the pile of blood. My bank bag, which is right beside him, and I put my hand on his, I'm trying to see what I saw on the TV about checking a pulse. And so finally I put my hand up on front of his face and I feel a faint
Breath.
Yeah. And luckily that night it was cold because at the end you'll realize he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't cold.
Because his blood was
He'd have
thinner.
bled out.
Did he cut himself?
Yes.
Okay.
So the police finally get
Yeah,
there.
so his
They
blood
make
was
their
that
way
wild.
down. Come to find out, I was 30 feet away from the Food Line parking lot. So they all circled around and they all brought the cop cars and the ambulances in the back way. I was from here, not even a block away from that Food Line, but you couldn't see it because of the trees. And I didn't know where. I'd never been in those woods.
Right.
I was so distraught and confused. I didn't know where I was.
Yeah,
in
you
the
definitely
woods.
weren't thinking straight as anybody wouldn't have been.
So the police show up, the ambulance show up, they get him on a gurney, they take him off. I'm going to follow the ambulance to the hospital. His wife's there, his family's there, his mom and dad and brother, and they're all there. And the police asked me to slow down a little bit, and they need to ask me a few questions. They could not understand how I figured and found him. They've been looking for him. And now they think, I got the sense, dun dun, I was suspect number one.
Oh, gosh.
And I finally have to tell them, I called Clay, and I told him, I said,
His
listen,
lawyer.
I said, my lawyer works for chicken. You know, he's my best friend. That man can eat a lot of chicken.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It works for chicken.
I
can
can
talk
kill
about this
somebody and he'd have to defend me free. That's how much chicken this sucker's eating. Little feller, too. Great guy.
So I'll talk about that in a second.
So anyway, I said, and if you want to arrest me, you need to arrest me now, but I'm getting in my car to go find out how my little buddy's doing. All right, but we're going to need to talk to you again. I said, come on, bro, I'm going to the hospital. So go over there, and they got him back. They got him stable. He could have died any time. It was warming up. If he'd have started bleeding again, he'd been dead. And his daddy comes out, and he hugs me and thanks me, and he said, man, I don't know what would even make someone do that. And I said, your daughter-in-law. She just had so much pressure on him, and he felt like such a failure.
Yeah.
Had everybody believing he's graduated. He's been going to school for 2 years and never went, because when he disappeared, they called a school. They hadn't had a record of him in school since he started 2 years earlier.
He was supposed to have the party. And
Right.
Yeah.
And he would rather kill himself than disappoint her.
Right.
And I told him, I said,
That's terrible.
yeah. And I said, well, how did he try to kill himself? And it used his key. His wrist was cut with a jagged key. Tried to saw his arm off, his wrist off. And that was sad. And now he has 4 children, divorced from her not long afterwards, sought treatment. His parents had the means to do anything, and he took the advice and now has might even have grandchildren now.
Wow.
Which is unbelievable. Great kid.
That's amazing.
And his daddy's, I don't know, but it's been a few years, but the first 15 years I always get a Christmas card from his dad.
That's amazing.
And that was my favorite gift.
Wow.
There's a few takeaways about this story. The first thing is anybody else in the world would have been like, dude, this a-hole took my money bag. Screw you. And that's it. But no, you're like, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong here. Were you even fazed by the fact that he took the money?
I didn't care about the money.
Yeah.
I've had other people's work for me that had problems with their nose, and I just try to give them help and support.
Yeah.
You know, money can be replaced, but your life can't, and your mental, you know, money comes and goes. I don't live for money.
Right. I'm just saying, you realize anybody else in the world would have
Oh, they would have had probably took a warrant out on him.
Right.
You know,
right.
For
pressed
theft.
charges. Yeah.
Yeah. And none of the money was missing. I didn't care if he would have spent it to live on. While he was, for 3 days, he never used a card, and he was never ate.
Yeah.
The only thing that was in there was some alcohol.
Jeez.
I guess it'd take that to try to cut your wrist off with car keys.
Yeah.
But that was just a cry for help. But it would have killed him if I wouldn't have found him. The police sure weren't going to find him, because back then they were surprised I could find him.
That's kind of some remote viewing type stuff that he did.
It's not
not that
I wouldn't
far.
say that's the first time something like that feeling has happened to you, and it certainly wasn't the last time.
Oh, no. A lot of situations. I've always had, I don't know what I've had, but I call it a gift. People with problems seek me out.
So what I would I was thinking about this a lot today because I knew this would come up, right? And I think that there's nothing inherently special, right? But the special part is your
His choices.
knowledge of it, or more like listening to it, right? Like you have adapted or let me say you're more in tune with that force that's guiding you?
But I think you're born with it.
Yeah. I think
I don't think
I
you
do
can
truly
create it or manifesto it. I think certain people, and that's one thing with your group of listeners and all, it seems like, because when y'all get together, there's no drama. Everybody's got the same heart. Everybody's got the same purpose. And that's what it's all about is to uplift each other, uplift the glory of God. And there is signals and signs, and there is angels.
Yeah.
You know, I've told a lot of people, I said, one day you'll realize I'm your angel.
I was
And
just
that's
about
what
to
I'm
ask
here
that.
for.
Yeah.
And I attract a lot of people with certain problems, it seems. And being an idiot, I always seem to have a way to make them feel better, or they feel worse, because I'm going to tell you like it is if I feel it.
That's why I brought this story up and wanted you to tell it, because I know, like, ever since I've known you guys for, I guess it's been, what is it, 7 years,
Something
right?
like that.
2025 to 2018. So
Yeah.
7 or, I don't know, I'm bad at math, but 7 or 8 years now we've known each other. And that's something you've always told me. And then you've told me, is you're like, my dad has always told me, son, I'm an angel. And I love that.
I think certain people are, and the devil's got his workers also. You know, it's
And I know what you mean when you say that. You know, I get it. Like,
So that rolls itself into the story that kicked this off.
the next summer I'm over at Great Friends and feeding the basketball team, which I did a lot, and it was like a Tuesday night, and we ate around 5 o'clock, so around 6 o'clock I was packing up, going home to come see my family. And I normally go down, the area of town I was in, I would normally go back down Market Street, straight down to Princess Street and 12th Street. And something said, just shoot out of there, go the back way, go out on Riceville Avenue, and just take Riceville now all the way down to 17th and then get on to Princess. So I've been to this house, I go about every week. Every other week, I'm doing something for the team. And because we were a family. But for that only particular time I've ever left that location, I went a back way. So I'm driving down Riceville Avenue, man, just ready to get home. Put a whole day in, a whole afternoon in for catering, and great time. And I get down to the stoplight, and I'm just terrible with remembering names of streets. The one you cut in to go towards the college. That street.
I couldn't.
it depends
You
which
lived
way
off
you're-
of that
It
one
depends
too.
which way you're coming from.
Well, if you're coming from, say, Impey Park down, and you take a right on it, and you go across Wrightsville Avenue, and you go up the back way around to the college.
What was the
McMillan?
road?
McMillan,
Yeah,
exactly.
I used to live there.
Right.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
happened right by your old
Yeah,
apartment.
that's true. Yeah. Another spot.
That
I
is
lived.
kind of crazy,
Isn't it?
because I'm just putting that together.
Yeah, me too. Both of these
Wow,
things
I'm
are
following
spots
round
I
and round.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at, I'm over here.
So you know where the dentist office, or there was a doctor's office right on the left on the other. I'm heading towards Wilmington, downtown. And at the light, I'm sitting there. And on the left, there's an accountant, or there's a little commercial building there.
Yeah.
And I'm about the sixth car in line, because it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock, pretty busy. Wishing I could take the other route. And all of a sudden, I hear something. I hear screaming. I don't see anything. I'm in my Parchees van with Parchees on the side of it, and I'm looking. I don't see anything. And when I get to the light, I see a lady holding a baby, and blood is everywhere. She's hollering, "Help me, help me." Now, all these cars, both sides, already passed her. I pull up about a half block away, and I said, "Stop." Because I wasn't going to stop. Man, I was ready to get home, see my family. I pulled off. I run back, got to cross the street. It's busy. People are riding by. I could hear the baby gurgling a little bit. Blood coming out. I'm going, wow. I said, "What happened?" She said, "He's eating a lemon
head
drop or lemon head." And the kid was like 2 or 3 years old. Shouldn't have been eating a lemon head.
Yeah.
And it got trapped. But I knew I could hear some wheezing, so it's not totally blocked.
Yeah.
Cape Fear Hospital's right down the street. A taxi pulls up. she said, I've called my husband. He's on the way. Can you sit with my other 2 boys? There was 2 boys in the car that were 6 and 8 maybe. Oh. Kid was 3 or 4. Mama gets in the taxi. I get her in the taxi. I said, go. I go sit in the car waiting on their dad to show up. So I'm sitting there waiting and talking to the kids and finding out what happened. And, they're all crying because, then the dad shows up. It wasn't long afterwards. She never called 911. Mm. She just panicked.
Right.
Totally
right.
panicked.
Right.
Which I would too. I mean, blood, how the blood, you know what? You choking, I don't know how the blood got there. But get them all to the hospital. I'm sitting with the kids. The dad thanks me. They're going to the hospital right there. And I'm sitting there scratching my head, man. This all happened in 10 to 15 minutes. And I get in my van and I'm thinking, wow, I'm glad I stopped. Nobody else was going to stop. Just hope the kid makes it. They don't know who I am. There's a Parchees on the side of my truck with a phone number, but I never got a phone call from anybody. And I called the hospital the next morning to see if the kid was fine. And they wouldn't give me a lot of information because there was no kin, but he was released. So I figured, good. They got it unclogged and I didn't have to read about him being dead. And life goes on, right? So a few years later, I opened up another restaurant on Wrightsville Avenue. Great opportunity to come in and flip it. I only like one place at a time. So I opened up and I needed some more refrigeration. I needed a walk-in cooler. And my buddy said, man, you got to call this guy, Dwayne. Great guy. So I called Dwayne and Dwayne come over and we talked and great guy, man, I'll get you a great deal. I can help you out. I'll put it together for you. I said, man, that'd be awesome if you could do all that. I mean, guy was going out of his way for me to pay $25,000 for this cooler. I was happy to have Dwayne on board. Dwayne comes in, puts the cooler up, sets it up, gets it running, freons it up. I said, Dwayne, bring me the bill. And he had a bill and it was $500. I said, Dwayne, I thought we said it was going to be like $3,500. He said it was. But he said, remember a few years ago when you stopped on the side of the road to help that lady? That lady was my sister. And that kid was my nephew.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think anyone's ever told you thank you. No one had. But I didn't think, she couldn't remember to call 911.
Yeah.
And I said, well, first thing out of my mouth was not, wow. I said, how's the kid? Oh, he's great. By then, he's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, doing good and excelling in everything. And he said, I'm just doing it what I got in it because I appreciate you taking the time. Because my sister said, people were just, nobody was paying attention. She probably said 50 to 100 cars passed by before I stopped. Mm. And that, I brought tears to my eyes right then. And he says, this is my way of saying thank you.
Wow.
I wasn't worried about being thanked or wrote up about or anything. I didn't want that. But then all of a sudden, years later.
You're just always finding yourself in these positions where you have the choice to help someone and then it comes back to you. It's just like, how can you make that up?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's because I had to ask someone who I should call because I've never had a walk-in cooler.
Right.
And
that's even weirder.
But the crazy thing is, after that, me and Dwayne stayed friends until the end of his life.
Wow.
I mean, he'd come in, bring his family in the restaurant, and I took care of him as he took care of me of any repairs or anything like that for the years.
Did you ever see the sister again?
Never have.
Wow.
Never seen the kid again.
So what? Goodness.
And he told
Nor
you
have I ever seen him again. Since the day I saw him.
And that's the guy that had.
I visited him in the.
Yes.
They had to go into the. To get straightened out in the mental
psych ward. Yeah.
Oh. And it didn't end well with me and unfortunately. But that's a different story. But I still love him just the same.
Yeah.
Because it was my busiest time and our bonus time, and his bonus wasn't the same, but he missed 2 months and couldn't understand.
Right. Right.
And but it just makes you appreciate what you do for not what you get. You know, I don't care if I ever get anything. If I do anything, I do it because it's the right thing to do. And people get put in those positions. You see it all the time on the news. You know, check that airplane that flipped upside down. Who was there helping? Not running for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's all I could see is I'd hope somebody be rushing in for me, like stopping for that lady. And I wasn't going to do it because I was tired, man. And it's been a long day. But God wouldn't let me get away.
So why do you think this stuff keeps happening to you?
I don't know. But the crazy thing is, I asked him, I said, then he said, you'd never guess what my sister is. She's a trauma nurse.
Wow.
And the blood came from, I asked him, I said, why was there so much blood? She was very well, had a manicure, very well groomed. She was trying to pull the candy out of his mouth, which what you don't do, because her nails was cutting his tonsils and his throat, and that's where the blood was coming from. But when it's yours,
yeah,
you
you're not
panic.
thinking straight. Yeah,
right. And that's when I went, wow. Because when it probably happened to me. I mean, you're all. It's different when it's yourself, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I just always panicked and always flew up right side down, and luckily I got out of it because my lifetime has been filled with blessings of survival, of times when most people wouldn't survive.
Yeah,
just partying and hanging out. Because I'd go to West Virginia in a drop of a hat to go to a wood chopping festival, or up to Philadelphia to watch Dr. J play basketball every Thanksgiving. And didn't have any money, but I provided good times.
You're not from West Virginia, are you?
No.
I seem to remember you telling me.
I had a roommate from there.
Okay. I know you.
Which is one of my best friends until he gave his life up because of wrong decisions.
Mm.
And he was like a brother to me, and he had a special shotgun. This is a story I'll say right quick before I could talk for 26 years and not get everything in of my life. But he had his prized possession with his grandfather's, and Marty had a rough life from West Virginia. The first time I went there, it was like the movie. People had their glasses on, and they take their glasses off, and they're blackface by the coal.
Yeah.
And this is like 6, because we always pulled in, or we drove all night to get there for the wood chopping festival, and would pull in. It would be early in the morning, and these guys walking with their lunch pail, black dirt everywhere. I mean, it was crazy. I loved the place, and I would watch wood chopping, and actually I lost my thought.
Are you saying wood chopping?
Yeah.
A festival where
It
people
sounds
would
like you're saying witch hopping.
No, I thought you were saying wood shopping.
Wood chopping.
Wood
Wood chopping.
Okay.
Martin, my buddy's uncle was a 6-time world champion.
Of chopping wood?
Arden Koger.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a mountain of a man.
Oh my gosh, like John Henry.
Cut the logs in between, just, stand up on the log, and they'd shave in the mornings with it and all. And
He would what?
you'd shave with their axes before the competition. That's how sharp they are.
Oh, cool.
And if you
I
ever
wanna
watch
see
it,
this.
they're standing on the log, chopping in between their feet. There's a quarter of a meter of losing a toe or your foot, because it's going to cut it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a great time. And people ask me if I competed in the 12-ounce curls of Old Milwaukee. You know why? It didn't get any better than this. But we had, just how we arrived sometime was lucky. We'd be in an old Volkswagen with no brakes, and we'd have some of the steepest drops in America, in the United States, is in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, they had them tractor trailer ramps there for a reason, to where they went down if they lost their brakes. You know, the shit on the right. Mm-hmm. We hit that before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Scary.
Oh my! In a Volkswagen. But it wasn't smooth on a Volkswagen suspension, and no back seat. There was a bing bag back there. And we'd stop once for gas, and we had milk jugs for restrooms.
Oh wow!
And we'd have 2-3 cases of beer in the truck in the Volkswagen, or it was and then party all weekend and
chop wood,
carry on. But that was one of my, almost died a couple times in Philadelphia watching Dr. J play basketball. The guy driving the truck was so drunk would run off the road, wake up.
Weren't you mugged?
Never mugged. The police officer said, if you want to live to see the morning, we suggest you get off this location. That was in D.C.
Did someone hit you over the head with something?
That was at my own birthday party.
Oh.
So when I jumped on the bench and I cracked the 1x4 over my head because I jumped on the end and it sprung up and just boom.
Oh,
and the board was face planted me, and the top of the board flew off and almost hit some people.
Oh no!
Nobody got close to me after that because I was still moving around. Didn't phase. People thought I was waiting for me to die. That sucker hit me, and I just kept on moving. Man. One thing we got is hard head. Alex got that.
Yeah, no, he definitely does.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell you some stories.
Yeah, mallet head.
Something you would probably know the best out of all of us.
But to sum our thing up, and what Lord, it's been too long. My wife think I've left her, and she's probably already packed my bags and give it to charity. Because as long as I've been away from home in a while.
Other than probably the wedding night. Which I wanted to ask you about that. Were you happy with the ceremony? I haven't seen you since.
I thought the ceremony was beautiful. Considering how bad the weather was beautiful.
The poor sound guy got electrocuted. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I had to scream it.
Yeah. But he lived.
And there were no chairs.
Yeah. Oh, there was on the front row. The front two rows.
For them, for the VIP.
Yeah. It was gusty, and but a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. I was glad to have all you guys there, and it was a magical moment.
Yeah, it was for sure. That really got me that night at the end when everybody was taking off and we had all been celebrating a little bit. And you said something to me. You just said something like, I'm glad that you guys go together and, y'all are good for each other and y'all's friendship, and thank you for guiding him and all that stuff. And I was just like, wow, man, this is just really surreal.
You have the same heart.
I said, I feel like we guide each other. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that the week that I proposed to my wife, I came to Parchee's and we showed you the ring?
Oh, yeah.
You do remember that?
I don't drink, son. I do. I remember everything except what my Alzheimer's is making me forget.
Oh, no.
But it comes and goes. I mean, I lay down, and most times when I don't sleep is I remember.
Yeah.
And it's always certain situations where I'm stressing about, I'll always get reminded of what. And that's a special thing. I mean, if I died tomorrow, I lived it. I lived a life of, I really didn't grow up till I was 29 years old.
Yeah.
I had children. I told my wife I couldn't have children. Then we get pregnant not long after, and I asked, whose is it? That's not a good question. Boys out there listening, do not funning around, or don't ever say that when your girl tells you she's pregnant. Just go with it and go holler somewhere else. But God knows when you're ready for certain things. People stress of not having children. I have friends that have spent thousands of dollars to have children, to then end up adopting and then having children. Wow. Under no artificial means.
Yeah.
The stress. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
For sure.
And even if it's meant to be, to adopt and take someone out of their misery of where they're at and give them guidance, man. You can't. I told my boys early on, I said, listen, we'll be friends after you're 18. But right now I'm not here to be your friend.
Yeah.
I'm here to guide you and lead you and we're going to become friends, I hope, because a lot of times people don't become friends. They hold grudges. They keep, no matter how bad my son hollered at me or I hollered at him, we all love each other.
It's true.
Right.
Oh, he absolutely said that too.
And then
Many
Alex,
times.
when he got 19, 20, he thanked me. He said, Dad, I thought you were the meanest, but I really appreciate what you taught me.
Yeah, I hit that point too. Not necessarily with my dad, but with my grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reflecting back, I'm like, man, he really was just trying to show me some tough love.
And I gave my daddy hell. But it turns out I'm just like him.
And that's always
why.
kind of the case, though.
That's always the one you butt heads with the most.
Yep.
And I always never felt I did enough and good enough for my daddy, because my year older brother than I am was my dad's favorite, because he could do the woodworking and take the time, and my patience was about as short as a firecracker, man.
Sounds like somebody I know.
Yeah. You light it, I'm ready to go, and I
you
want to
talking
get it
about?
done and get it
I'm
finished.
just talking about one of these guys over here.
I mean, one year when I was 17, I got a summer job with the Parks and Recreation Department, and I showed up to work, and the guy looked at me and said, "Can you drive?" I said, "I can drive anything, sir." He said, "Okay." He gave me 2 black guys in a tandem truck, a dump truck. I didn't even have driver's license. My daddy wouldn't give me my license. The only thing I passed in the 9th grade, and if you do the math, I was a little old for the 9th grade. I was past 16. And I passed driver's ed. Back then, you took it as a class.
Yeah.
And I told my daddy I passed it. He said, "It's about time you pass something." I said, "Well, I don't have to get a permit. I can go get my license." He said, "What, you got a car?" I said, "No, Daddy." He said, "Well, you sure as hell ain't driving mine." And that was the end of the conversation. So I had to wait till I was 18 to go get my license. And I was 19 when I got him, because it seemed not to bother anybody with me driving around. I had a motorcycle, a car, old beat up crap with dirt or something stuck over where the tag's supposed to have the year on it. And so I get a truck, and they give us a list of things to do. In 8 hours, I can do in about 30 minutes with help. And my guys, they were used to working all day at a slow pace. I said, "Guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to work 3 hours, go to lunch. Y'all can get your wine. I can blow me a joint or something, listen to some Led Zeppelin or somebody, and then we'll go clock out at 5. Man, you're crazy. After the first day, we worked the whole summer for 3 hours, got paid for 8. We'd drive back at 5 o'clock, and they never did ask me. If they'd asked me if I had license, I'd have said no. He didn't ask me that question. But luckily, I never. Just think if I'd have gotten a wreck. Oof. But back then, things were a little different with.
Yeah.
But still, people assume you can do something. They'll let you do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can you fly a plane? Yeah. Well, here you go, man. I'm going to check credentials now.
Yeah.
Show it to me. But boys, it's been fun. It's been real. I probably confused a lot of people. I get to rambling, and
You're not going to give us one embarrassing story of Alex? Not one? Not, not a single one?
oh Lord, man. It'd be hard just to find one.
I'm kind of scared.
But there's something
I'm kind of scared.
your children don't need to know.
Oh.
The most scariest thing in my life with Alex was when I set him down and I jumped into the swimming pool to swim, and he was going to come to me and jump in the pool with me, but he was pouting or some shit, and I set him down on the little wall, and I'm swimming, and all of a sudden he jumps up, and he's got magical feet moving, and he sat on a fire anthill.
Oh, no.
And that shit was in his diapers, tearing him a new one. And I get up to the deep end, pull myself out the water like Superman. I grab him, I jump in the water in the deep end, and we start going down. And I start lifting him up like that little kid in, what's that movie?
Lion King?
Yeah, Lion King, man. I Lion Kinged his ass. And I'm sucking in water by the gallon. I'm swallowing it, dude. And I try to climb up the side, and it's slippery, and it's a 9-foot pool, and I'm trying to get him to the side of it, hold him out of the water, sucking water down. I get him on the side of the pool, get the water out of my lungs, and man, that was the last time I did that. But that was embarrassing.
I love how I knew the movie.
Yeah. I don't know how you knew the movie because I was not going to get there.
It's just a thing, a connection.
And that movie came out after I did it first. They owe me some money, Ryan, because I was underwater. My wife would have killed my ass.
She knows about it now.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one. How about you enlighten the audience and you share when you spoke your first words to your newborn son? What were the first words that you said to Alex when he came into this world?
Daddy can buy you some hats, son. And
his head was...
His mama's first words were, "That's not my son." And he's still attached at the cord that she wants me to cut after a 5-hour delivery 2 hours early.
2 months early.
2 months early.
And you asked her if it was yours, and then she said, "That's not my son."
No. I didn't ask her at the end if it was mine.
Didn't you before, when she was pregnant?
When she first told me she was pregnant. I was just messing around.
Yeah.
But I told her I couldn't have children. She was fine with that. She really wasn't looking forward to it. We were both older. And hell, I was an old man. Believe me, have them young is all I can tell you. You wear out.
Right.
But
and then you're 60-something on a podcast.
And we go to the hospital to get some medicine. She was fully dilated for 6 hours before we got there. And I'm complaining about my neck and how she won't be quiet so I can go to sleep. I got to go to work in the morning, woman. And she's in the hot tub vacuuming. She's fully dilated. She's 2 months early. A week before, I'm talking to my nephew.
Oh, this is great.
And he said, "Man, it'd be cool if it was born on my birthday." I said, "Justin, your birthday's 2 months before Alex's due date. But it would be cool. You're right." He was born on his birthday.
Wow.
2 months premature. Amazingly strong. Had some issues, but they didn't think he would have to go to the NICU unit. And I go back to check on my wife that had no medicines during this 4.5 hour delivery. None. That they used every tool to try to manually bring someone out of the womb. They were getting ready to do surgery because my wife was worn out. I was worn out. And I wasn't doing nothing but holding her hand and counting, getting hollered at. And they took the little safety net at the end of the table. They had it up against the window. And after the contractions, everybody would get up. We didn't make no birthing classes. We went to the hospital to get some medicine so she'd quit nagging me. We had a baby that day. And it took so long. And we're sitting there, and the nurses come in. When we go to the hospital to get some aid, they said, "Well, we'll just check her out before the doctor gets here." And they go, "Oh, my God, she's fully dilated." They all go run out of the room and leave me there by myself. I'm saying, what the hell am I supposed to do? You know, the doctor finally gets there. They take us over to get her ready. They said, "This ain't going to take long." 4.5 hours later, he was born. And first thing, I didn't know what they're going to be doing during the birthing. They take the little sled that's out to where her feet are stirruped, and there's a landing tray for your baby if the doctor misses or something. I don't know what it's even there for. Because the first thing she did was take it off anybody that's had children and been in the room would know. So they took that out of the way.
Oh, no.
So then after each contraction, they would all get up and leave the room and leave me in there. I've always been pretty quick. So I started figuring out how long would it take me to catch him if he popped out. Because if he came out now, he's going to the floor. He's already going to have problems. It's 2 months early. So I'm getting stressed. When I get stressed, I get loud. So I started hollering for the nurses. I said, listen, either put this damn thing back on or somebody sits at the catcher's position when y'all go on break. Because after every 10 or 15 minutes, they'll leave the room and leave me there. And she's crying, wanting to go home. She's hurting. I mean, this woman is like a superhero. She ain't got no medicine. And the boy's head stuck at the end. I didn't want to look at it. It was hideous, Jerry. So after attempts with tongs and plungers, my God, man, be easy on that head. I said, Doc, she said, we're going to have to go do surgery. We're going to give one more try. And I'm sitting in my chair with my wife's hand, and I'm looking at the doctor's face. I can't look. I'm just watching the doctor's face. All of a sudden, you hear Alex shoots out and lands on her shoulder and chest. And I'm going, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen. She told me it ain't going to just pop out. That little feller just popped the hell out. And I'm going. And then she grabs the scissors and says, cut the cord. I said, lady, I work with knives every day. I'm in no situation to be cutting a cord. That little woman took my big hand and threw them damn scissors in my hand and said, you're cutting the cord. And I cut the cord. Thank God I did, because I don't know if I could live without it, but I could have done without it. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. They take Alex away. My wife's laying there. Now they can give her a shot. So I follow them with Alex, and they're cleaning him up. I'm the proudest dad in there, man. My little boy is a little undersized, but he's breathing. He's doing good.
That's 2 months early.
Yeah, he's 3 pounds. And that's big for 2 months premature.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I found out later he was a horse. So I'm sitting there and watching them clean him up. They're telling me how beautiful he is. I said, yeah, he looks like his daddy, don't he? And all of a sudden, beep. Sir, you got to leave. He starts redlining. I said, well, I'll go check on my wife. And my wife's in there like she's on the planet Mercury. And the doctor's putting a glove on all the way up to her shoulder. And I thought to myself, this can't be fun. I said, is everything okay? Yes, but we got some problems. Your wife's placenta didn't come out. I've got to go get it. Would you like to stay? Oh, hell no. So I walk back towards where Alex is, and I can hear a lot of movement, a lot of panic. I drop to my knees in between the neonatal delivery, the delivery rooms, and to where they take the babies into. There's a little hall. And I go unconscious praying for 4 or 5 minutes. And all I can hear is my wife hollering and my son's red line. I think I'm going to lose both my children, my wife and my child, at the same time. I don't know how long I was out. And I came to. I looked around the corner. Alex was gone. I went across the hall. My wife was gone.
Mm.
I turned into Wreck-It Ralph in the hospital. No lie, man. They were getting security up for me because I was insistent on where in the hell's my family. In my mind, they were in the morgue. They finally got me to calm down. They had Alex up in the neonatal clinic, or where they put the premature
NICU.
baby, NICU. My wife was on the same floor but in a different room, and obviously not good shape because of her trauma and the drug she was on. And I went and saw Alex. But after Alex was born, after that great escape out of the of the vice, he looked just like the Conehead from Saturday Night Live. And like an alien. I mean, it was a cone head. I ain't lying to you. He was maybe 13 inches long and 9 of it was head. I'm looking at that sucker and I'm saying, first thing I said is, don't worry, boy, your daddy can afford to buy you some hats. And his mama looked at him and said, oh my God, that's not mine. He was an alien. He is. That's why. Is an alien. And there you go. There you have it. By his alien daddy.
Yeah, well, his daddy's an angel.
But I changed his first little primo diaper. His mama didn't see him for a day because she was just not in good shape after that.
Wow.
And but you're sitting in this. You can only go in certain times. He's hooked up to all these machines, and I take him his little first toys, and the people had got him, and we had got him, and I mean, I had 8-inch toys that were bigger than him, like little dolls, sitting in the little chamber with him.
There's a picture of me in his hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and his feet didn't go out of my hand. I got big hands, but anyway, being the curious guy I am, there's other kids in there, and I was already amazed that the one beside Alex was less than a pound. Oh. Looked like a squirrel. I said, oh my God. And then I went around the corner and there was 1.5 pounds and 2 pounds. Alex was a stud in there at 2.9 by the time he got cleaned up. And I'm kind of walking around, and I shouldn't have, but I was kind of boasting my boy, we're going to take you on over here. But I started looking, and
Oh my God.
boy, they set me down and said, sir, you cannot leave your area for private and confidentiality. And I understood that. I respected that. I didn't think of it. I should have. But, some people don't want.
Right. Yeah, it does make sense. I didn't know that was a thing either. But
Yeah, right. So if it ever happens to you, just stay in your lane.
yeah, don't go look.
I
at
learned the
other-
hard way.
Yeah.
But, man, but what they did and the care they gave, there are special people that do that NICU work.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex probably wouldn't have survived if, luckily, we're the number 2 NICU on the East Coast here.
Oh, really?
People go to Chapel Hill, and if it's serious and Chapel Hill can't take you, this was back in those days. And what is he,
98.
26 now?
Yeah, I'll be 27 this year.
Wow.
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 What a story.
And he started out with a life from fight.
Yeah, for sure. He got that dog in him too.
Yep.
He still does.
He still does.
Wow, what this has been amazing, man. We
Yeah.
for 4 this June we'll have been doing this show for 4 years, and from the jump we have talked about having you on the show, and I think that we've talked about it so much that I began to believe that it would never happen. And then what was it? 2 days ago, Alex is like, "Guys, this is it.
It's
Dad's
actually-
coming on the show.
Got him.
We got him.
We got him."
He had a lot of stipulations, and I hope I don't bore anybody or.
No.
No, this was awesome.
Yeah, it was
But,
awesome.
but I can only speak when I get comfortable, and he called me, and I know that you guys been wanting, and I've been saying this, that, and the other, and I said, finally I said, I'd hate to die tomorrow, and not have gave my son, and people might hate it, or
No.
people might like it, but this is just a gift I gave for him and to you and to Nick, that. If you call it that, I just call it.
It is a gift.
We talk like this all the time on my front porch.
For sure, but this is a gift to us.
But I appreciate that, and
Yeah.
I hope someone can feel something out of it, and hope you wake up
It's amazing.
and help someone the next day.
We have now had all 3 of our fathers on the show as of tonight, and that's really cool.
Well, maybe one day we need to get the jamboree together and have all 3.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, we've really been talking about that.
And,
Yeah.
and the thing is, both of you have, all 3 of you, parents are a little older than their norm for a child of your age. How old
yours?
is
My dad is about to be. I think he's like 58. So honestly,
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
still,
30. He had me when he was around 20ish. I
Right.
think.
See, mine is a little older though.
I'm just talking about what they've lived through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being anywhere towards 60,
Yes.
it was a different time, man.
Yeah.
These kids today have no idea of the luxuries. They don't know what it is to not have a TV, to not have a telephone, to not be able to pick and call anywhere you want to be in the world. The communication, but what has it all led to? No one talks to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I have people that text me. I'll just say, man, that's too many word response. I'm going to call you. They don't answer me. And they text me, I'll call you later. And that's the problem with the world, man. Mm-hmm. You don't know how someone's feeling unless you ask them.
Right.
Don't text them. Everybody's going to say I'm good. And most people are going to tell you they're good if you ask them. But your ear will hear the cry and the fear.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
The rhymes are coming out. We gotta go.
It. Yeah. This has been amazing.
And you think I didn't watch Batman? The Riddler was my hero.
Did you see him as the Riddler? You got to show him later.
I'll show you later.
Alex actually came one time to the show dressed as the Riddler, and none of us had any idea about it.
I swear it was a guest. It was on a guest show. I'll tell you later.
And it was a podcast that talks about Batman. But anyway, so
I'm Batman.
Shout out Bat Force Tom.
Yeah, shout out Bat Force Tom.
Another great father, I think. Yes.
This has been amazing. Thank you. You're the man.
Thank you.
Any thoughts?
No.
Any last thoughts, Alex?
No, I'm good. Thank you for coming on.
But for people that listen to the show, tell your friends, this is a show about good guidance and belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without belief, there's no reason to carry on tomorrow. And that's just what's wrong with our society today, is because people are losing their beliefs, and they're without a belief, man.
Yeah.
You got to believe in something. And there is a higher power. We're all being guided by the same light, but some people's lights are dark.
Yeah.
Some people's lights are bright. You always find your way out when there's a light. You always find your way in when there's not. It's like being outside and inside, and you got to look for the light. It's not always what it looks like or seems. And people are put in your life for a reason, to help or be helped. It's always been my philosophy. And people I always seem to attract need help, but have the heart to help.
Right.
And they help me in a way. We all have needs from each other. We all have strengths, like I said earlier. But, I love your group. I love what you're doing. I love your message. You're not commercializing the hell out of it. You're just saying what your daddy believed in and sees. And the world needs to wake up. There is people that has the power of foresight in the message and how to translate the message. Everybody gets a message. Not everybody can tell the message or say the message or learn from the message, So I thank you guys for taking the time out and having an old man on and
It was our pleasure.
rambling. We'll do it again.
Yes.
Please.
Cool. Let's do it again.
We'll get the 3 old goats on and
Yes.
go from there.
You want to
Yeah.
plug your socials? No, I'm kidding.
Well, I am on AOL. I'm the last member, so I wouldn't be hard to find. So just look it up. AOL. There's not a lot of us left. I don't like change, man. I never changed the decor in my restaurant. I just added, but I never took anything off to replace it with something new. I never changed working equipment. I changed it when it broke.
Who's that sound like?
A lot of people I know, but yeah.
All right.
Somebody we have over in the guest chair over there.
You didn't fall
Yeah.
far from the tree. That's
No,
not a bad thing.
I didn't.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's
not.
just funny to see.
It's hilarious.
So
Well,
they're gonna
you
love
can keep your
this.
prices cheaper for your customer. I mean, first time I went to the dentist, it was like $40. That was how I thought. Now it's $240. They got all these machines that can look in and I don't have to look at you work. I trust you're working in there. I don't need to watch TV and see your hands in my mouth cutting it open or whatever.
Yeah.
Hell, I went to the damn dentist office and the guy said, well, you got 2 cavities, one on each side. I can do one today. You're going to have to come back for the other. I said, what do you mean? I'm here. Do them both. I ain't paying for another visit. I'll pay for the extra, but not another office visit and a cavity. He said, well, I can only numb one side of your mouth at a time. I said, that sounds like a plan to me. Numb the worst side, freestyle the other side. He said, man, you're like John Wayne. Let's get it on. And I'm sitting over there, and it took everything I had to not slap that man when he started drilling on my unnovocaine side of my mouth. But I spit it out, and I walked on with it and didn't go back. But, you know, I'm different. I live with a lot of pain because that's all I've dealt with. So get on with it.
All right, you ready? You gotta say bye, guys.
Hey, we're out.
We're out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
What up, homies?
If you like the show and want more, check out patreon.com/Bledsoe said so.
This will get you exclusive weekly bonus shows and access to our Discord community with hundreds of open-minded people just like you.
If you want to represent the show, go to bledsoesaidso.com for merch. We have t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and more.
For all future updates, follow us on Instagram at Bledsoe Said So.
Same time next week.